In the shadowy corridors of laboratories and the silent pages of medical journals, there lie tales that have seldom been told. Tales of ambition that flew too close to the sun, of genius that turned into folly, and of innovation that actually wasn't that innovative. Welcome, curious minds and aspiring detectives, to Crimes Against Innovation. In this segment, I'm joined by two guests. I have Laurence Woollard, an independent consultant specialising in rare disease advocacy and policy, and a person living with the rare inherited bleeding disorder haemophilia. Welcome, Laurence.
Thank you.
And we have Dr. Emma Lane, UCB's patient engagement lead in gene therapy.
Thank you.
Welcome, Emma. And with them both, we're going to take a light-hearted look at some of the most misguided, bad ideas and downright terrible innovations in the healthcare industry. So let me come to you first, Laurence. What do you think is a major crime against innovation?
Okay, so I'm feeling the pressure, but I would argue that the deeply ingrained inequities in healthcare access for women and girls represent a significant crime against innovation, particularly when examining the stark underrepresentation of females in clinical trials. For a long time, clinical studies have been performed and focused, particularly on males, generating results that were then transferred to women. This isn't an accident or oversight. It's a true crime that stalls advancement in medical research, public health, and in achieving gender equitable health outcomes.
And this is a very interesting one. I have to say that it's something I know a little bit about, having written a major feature on this in the past about the gender pain gap, a phrase that was coined by Professor Diane Hoffman, I think in 2001, in a Journal of Law, Medicine and Ethics. And her research showed how women's pain is taken much less seriously than men's pain. It happens in heart attacks and things like that. So yes, health inequity is definitely a good crime against innovation. In fact, I think also, am I right, research that used to be done on mice was done on male mice because female mice menstruated. You're nodding along, even though this isn't your crime, Emma.
I know, I'm nodding along because in a former life I was a research scientist, and that was exactly the debate that we had, and that has changed. But for a long time it was, you're using male rats or mice, why are you using male? Or if you're using female, why are you using female? Because they menstruate, because they might have differences. It was very challenging to go against that. So unfortunately, I think he's got a tough one to do.
I think you have, though. Definitely, it's a good challenge. This one, it's not a good crime, but it's definitely a major crime, I think.
Yeah, and I think despite sort of health agencies around the world recognising the importance of sex and gender in health, there is still considerable progress to be made in terms of how we're designing and supporting clinical trials and studies that on conditions that predominantly affect women, together with sort of sex and gender aware product innovation that helps to close the health equity gap. I know that even within my condition and my community in haemophilia, there was a recent study published by Fedor and colleagues, which showed that only 4.8% of 124 clinical trials that have been conducted in haemophilia between 2007 to 2022 included a female participant, and that's despite global recognition that women and girls bleed too.
That's dreadful, absolutely dreadful, isn't it? But I suppose people don't understand that women can have haemophilia or associated disorders.
Completely, and I think the nomenclature has been evolving in more recent times that now acknowledges that women and girls, as you said, can live with haemophilia. They can be symptomatic carriers.
And am I right too that a lot of drugs, the quantity, the amount of drug that's prescribed is obviously decided on a man's size and build rather than on a female's science and build, and that hasn't changed particularly.
There have been very limited evolutions in how we can tailor medication for different populations, and obviously males and females are very different in terms of their biology, but also across other communities as well, and understanding where there might be differences across other ethnicities as well.
Okay, so you've got a really good argument going here, Laurence. So Emma, can you share your crime against innovation? You're not sounding confident that you're going to win this one.
I'm not confident I can win. I feel like I have a strong case. I think going back to my formative science years, I was a scientist for many years before moving into patient engagement. And from my past, if you recall the Human Genome Project, which was starting, and then we were seeing many innovations coming through that were being reported by public media. And the innovations in science and medicine often came with the phrase, well, when are we going to see this impact on patients? And I could almost recite it with the person sitting with the interviewer saying 5 to 10 years. And for me, it's the phrase 5 to 10 years is what I'd like to banish because it's meaningless to me. It does a disservice to the scientists because the development of science is often unpredictable and can take many twists and turns. It's not fair on patients because depending on the type of disease you might be talking about, it can either give you false hope that there might be a treatment within your lifetime, or it may bring disappointment because the reality is it may be too far away still for it to impact on you if you're living with a more acute disorder. So trying to put time frames on this, I know people need hope, and hope is such an important part of living with disease and ill health. But giving people false hope to me and giving false timelines that don't reflect accuracy and an arbitrary 5 to 10 years is something that I've always found really challenging.
Yeah, I have to say in my previous career as a health correspondent working in TV, very often my payoff, my piece to camera would always be, but we're not expecting to see this treatment available for the next 5 to 10 years, because that's what I was always told by the scientist, by the researcher. And I didn't want to offer false hope to the viewers that this treatment was available around the corner. Let me turn to you on this one then, Laurence. You know, you are a patient advocate and a patient yourself. Do you feel that 5 to 10 years is too woolly a timescale?
Well, I was just going to say I'm kind of on the fence actually, because again, it does resonate, you know, that 5-10 years. I remember being in school and, going to clinic appointments and understanding what new innovation was coming on stream and being told, again, you're potentially going to be cured in 5 years. So it definitely resonates. But I think to Emma's point, that piece around hope, again, through a sort of a rare disease lens, for some of these communities who don't have any viable treatments, hope can go a long way to sort of encourage communities of people to get together and really spearhead drug development.
There's a quote I've got here by Desmond Tutu. Hope is being able to see that there is light despite all of the darkness. And it's like you said, you don't want false hope, but you do want people to realise that there could be an effective treatment, if not a cure, for them in the future.
And that's what scientific innovation should be doing. It's giving that light and that hope. I suspect maybe my crime is more about asking the scientist to put a timeline on when that might make a transformational difference for a patient. And that's the real challenge. I think we need to be showcasing scientific innovation, and we need to be educating the communities around us about how those innovations might be impacting. But putting artificial timelines on that is something that doesn't really help anybody, I don't think.
Okay, thank you both of you. So I'm going to summarise. So Emma, you're saying that there ought to be a more distinct timeline. We need to give proper timings rather than this 5 to 10 years. And Laurence, basically you're saying for women, health inequity is the biggest crime against innovation. I think they're both really good arguments and they're both major crimes against innovation. Which one am I going to vote? I have the unenviable task of deciding which is the most serious crime against innovation. You're not going to be surprised. I'm probably, you're agreeing with me here, Emma, as well.
Sorry.
I'm going to say I think Laurence has won this one. I think that is a major crime against innovation. Thank you both of you, though, for sharing what you consider is the major crime. Do you think I'm right? Have I made the right decision? Please share your thoughts. And if you want to find out what other people are thinking, use the hashtag Crimes Against Innovation. Use it on social media. Come and follow our social media pages. And until next time when we discuss another crime against innovation, this is Nicola Hill signing off.